get Leona on the other side.
Yeah, Leona, super common counter pick here into the Rakan. Very tanky, looks for that initiation, looks for the big punishes. And Clutch are definitely going to have a lot of forms of initiation for themselves too. Leona, long range stun, can set people up for Skarner pulls. So both teams have very, very good ways to initiate if they get ahead. So much of this game is going to be about which team can actually utilize those tools effectively.
Yeah, which team can get control of mid lane as well to try and stop or enable the Qiyana roams. And even looking further forward into this game, there's a lot of health on the side of Clutch Gaming, and the targets for Qiyana to actually assassinate are pretty slim, especially with how safe Cody Sun plays in the mid to late game. So I think it's going to be a very difficult game for PowerOfEvil to execute on Qiyana. One of the things that happens when you first pick that champion, I think Clutch has been very cognizant of the composition they put together so they don't get punished by Qiyana.
Well, let's see if they can put that one together. The 14th unique champion of the split for Damonte. Renekton coming in as the counter pick. He prepared for the Qiyana first pick. They saw it in the draft phase, said that's okay. We didn't demand Corki, you're taking Qiyana. No problem there. Renekton as our answer. And you're gonna hope that prepping for this best of 5, it was what they wanted. Counter Logic Gaming, the highs he come into this one. Still a successful split for them, make it to the top 4, and Clutch Gaming surging so far in summer, hoping they can take a 3rd place here themselves. As we will have a quick pause on screen. Vulcan on your screen right there. First time he's been in a stage this big, and he's got to make sure nerves don't get to him, and he plays as well as he did in the semifinal.
Yeah, a lot of these players super excited to be on this stage in Detroit. It's been an amazing crowd so far early on in the fan day. Outside, we had so many Clutch and CLG fans show up to a lot of the booths. Here we're gonna have a little bit of a pause right before getting into the game, but I also like how there's more that goes with this game 1 than just the start of the series. Kind of the rights to Qiyana have been thrown down here. Clutch, you know that they are very willing to pick this champion, even on blue side, and they've thrown down saying, okay, CLG, if you can't win with Qiyana, then they're gonna have full control of this pivotal champion for all of Champ Select.
Yeah, I completely agree. And calling back to when PoE did play it, it was in that game 3 against Cloud9 of the semifinals, the only game that CLG was able to win. But it wasn't your typical Qiyana victory. It wasn't winning lane with gank assist and then snowballing through the side lanes and winning quickly. It was a come from behind victory with some very clutch flanks. In my opinion, not a very reliable way to win with Qiyana, more like, okay, PoE is serviceable with this champion, which does kind of call into question, and I think validates the gamble that Clutch is taking on this Qiyana. So to Kobe's point, this is kind of the game to prove whether or not Clutch has to ban it going forward, or if this is just purely a CLG Champ Select burden.
Well, we'll see what happens right here. It is good to see it in game 1, and if CLG can step up, or if Clutch continues to perform here in the summer split, 3rd place on the line, skipping the first opponent here in the regional qualifier for Worlds in 2 weeks' time. The mid laners squaring off, both with oversized hula hoops for weapons, PoE and Damonte.
Is that a hula hoop?
It's half a hula hoop.
Okay.
Also,
The crescent moon is still the moon.
That is also an accurately sized hula hoop, by the way. That is the correct proportion for a hula hoop. They are big, and you need the extra room to get the full rotation. Now, we've had a really interesting discussion for both of these teams throughout the summer split, by the way.
Yeah.
Both of them have been very focused on objectives, but fairly different objectives, different sides of the map. CLG, one of the best teams at controlling the dragon side of the map on the lower half of the map. Clutch Gaming, one of the best, actually the best, at controlling the Rift Herald top side of the map as far as objectives go. And we are going to have split camps here as they start off on red buffs for both junglers.
And also thinking about the jungle matchup, Wiggily was held down fairly substantially by Skarner in the semifinals and had a very off series. Looking at the champions that they're playing in this game, Lira is going to be heavily focused on getting up to level 6, where he can then start making plays around that Rift Herald we just talked about. But in the early game, I wonder where Wiggly's going to look, because he will want to pull off some successful ganks. Generally, CLG is a bot or top-focused team, depending on the game, and rarely focuses mid, yet they have picked a composition that wants to focus around mid with the Gragas and Qiyana. So again, playing a little bit off of their norm with these picks and this style.
And you look a little bit further into the game, is Gragas able to get a good Predator gank on either mid or towards the bottom half of the map? Qiyana's so good at using the ultimate, post level 6 in those dragon fights. Gets to blow up basically and explode on water as well as any sort of terrain around there. So PowerOfEvil might tend towards that half of the map.
We're waiting and seeing as the trades come forward. Perfect CS allowed for Damonte here, 19-19 on the first 3 waves. Practice that one at home, but a good start so far in his landing phase for sure. PoE's gonna have to lose some of this one.
I always like watching mid laners play Renekton because I feel like sometimes they pilot him a little bit differently than top laners do. It's much more spell focused and you'll charge up his rage a fair bit, but here is that Gragas gank we talked about, wanting to get that kill.
They're gonna have empowered stun already burned right there, rooted again by the
Root.
water version. Damonte burning down, running towards his squad. Skarner not too far away. He's gonna wait for the squad to come around, find another root. There's the body slam flash. He's gonna get back over the wall. Heals a little bit, but it's not gonna be enough. First blood comes through, but the re-engage is here. Huni there with Lira. A lot of damage towards Wiggily. No flash on that character. They could kill him. In comes Vulcan. The trade kill is in. Now Ruin's there as well. The whole squad coming across as now Huni's still in the front line. Damage on Ruin. Damonte's back into the action, but cannot find a stun. A 1-for-1 kill comes through to the mid laner of CLG.
If there was a question of whether or not these teams are willing to play around mid lane, it was just answered. The 5-man mid, 3 minutes and 30 seconds in. A little bit of a strange looking chase towards the river where PowerOfEvil triple hits the water blade, so actually lowering his damage for the CC, and then Clutch goes down. They might burn his flash or kill him.
Ruin has flash, but he's taking a lot of damage, and the flash means nothing! Damonte's Q gets the kill picked up. He's massively winning his matchup now.
Oh, that's so bad for Ruin. Flash blown. One side of the Renekton Q just to get to the other side. It still dies, also giving up the summoner spell. I believe, too, if you look at the top wave right now, pushing away from him, so he's going to lose out on extra minutes. Now, you can never get away from Qiyana by running to the river, because she will just pull another water element, as you see there. PowerOfEvil able to get it. Wiggily flashing, too, in the bottom lane.
Stixxay flashing as well!
Hey, sometimes when players come on to a bigger stage for the first time, they end up playing more passively.
Nope.
That is not what is happening here, although I think there could definitely be some jitters at work here. The fact that Damonte didn't retreat towards his turret when he had Slice, Dice, and Flash up, but instead retreated down, or the fact that Ruin then sloppily died in the top river with his flash being burned at the very end. I think it'll take a little bit of time for these guys to settle in, but early on, everything is showing up clutch.
Yeah, that play in the mid lane was definitely CLG advantage at the beginning. Yet because they have the later teleport, they are not quite as coordinated in the roams up. It is clutch gaming with the early lead in this game.
And I want to call the attention towards topside, Kobe, where after we saw Ruin die, the wave was in a really bad spot. It actually got froze in front of Huni's turret for about 2 or 3 waves. So you can see now, 35 CS to 17. Huni has a level advantage as well as 3 charges of that corrupting potion. So Ruin will be able to pick up some of that CS once it crashes against his turret, but Huni definitely in a powerful position right now in the lane.
As we cited in Champion Select, this is one of the holy trinity of Huni champions that he can hard carry games on. The Gangplank has definitely been one that he has performed very well on. You can already see Wiggily coming up to the top side, trying to allow Ruin some extra control here with the minion wave well positioned now in front of his tower.
Yeah, and Ruin has a bit of an opportunity to try and zone Huni off the wave, but the ward there by Huni was incredibly well timed to stop Wiggily. Lira is 6 and has flash.
It's going to be safety enough, though, for Biofrost able to jump away. Vulcan not going to find the Rudo stun either. Attempted gank, not found.
Now, again, with these Predator junglers on the roam now, you have to keep track of all these flashes. Everybody except PowerOfEvil on the side of CLG had blown theirs, so Clutch Gaming used that presence on this bottom half of the map to earn themselves the dragon. And this is a very big pickup because Riptail has not even spawned, so there is nothing that CLG can pick up in answer to this. There is no cost here for Clutch Gaming. They just happily gain the first objective.
And I think CLG is going to be quite concerned about the opening to this game. During the regular season, they were near the top of the league in Dragon control because Stixxay and Biofrost usually had control of that lane or got control thanks to Wiggily ganks. That's how they were able to have such good drain control. But as you mentioned, the fact that Clutch is actually winning bot lane, the fact that Damonte doesn't seem burstable by PowerOfEvil, and the fact that Huni's on one of his champions are all advantages to Clutch, where they actually have bot pressure before transitioning to Rift Herald, and now they're looking for something bottom lane. Wiggily is waiting, but they are outnumbered.
Okay, 4 versus 3 down here on this side as Biofrost is under the turret, and Predator's popped as well, but there's still no push onto the gank. Demolish not used either. Called off.
One of the big tendencies of these two mid laners is kind of on display as well. We've seen multiple roams by Damonte down to different areas of the map. You got the kill up on Ruin in the top half of the river. Now multiple passes towards bottom as well. And PowerOfEvil trying to push back. Now PowerOfEvil's got the upgraded mobility boots though, which should incentivize him to start to make plays around the map. She has access to the level 6, so one of those big combinations is available for Qiyana.
Yeah, however, in order to use the mobility boots, he has to find ways to get out of his lane. So I wonder if Damonte is going to give him these windows. If Damonte consistently pushes up the mid lane, it will be much more difficult for PoE to go and find roam. So now that Clutch is playing against Qiyana, with Clutch being the most experienced Qiyana team, I like how they are playing around it and really respecting where PoE can go and not letting him get ahead.
Yeah, something I want to keep tracking for sure. We're 8.5 minutes in, and right now PoE's one kill has been the gank he received, which of course was smart, but the backhand of it was played really well. Clutch up 1,500 gold right now. CS leads in every single one of their rolls down the line, all 5. It's going to be a good start for them right here, as they are still the ones pushing it pretty nicely.
Plus also the gold that has been spent. Mobility boots are an investment in playmaking.
Yeah.
Mobility boots do not give you combat power. So we'll see if PowerOfEvil can actually make use of the mobility, because right now it's been Damonte shoving every wave in and being the first one with an open map. Whenever you shove a wave versus the enemy mid laner, it gives them a job. They have to respond to that wave before following up on whatever play you want to create. It gives you about 10 seconds of a lead time.
Speaking of lead times right here, as they fight over the top lane right now, there's a big lead time in sight stones as well. Vulcan has his sight stone completed. Biofrost is at 200 gold earned. We keep seeing Rakans in hard matchups go for spell thieves and not earn any money, not get their wards online. So even if he wanted to track Damonte or Cody Sun or Vulcan leaving lane, doesn't have the wards to do so. And until that comes online, it's a darker map for CLG.
Yeah, and pay attention to where Vulcan and Cody Sun go from here, because throughout the playoffs and also throughout the regular season, Clutch had a pattern of recalling their bottom lane around 10 minutes and moving up for the Rift Herald. However, if they don't have to, they're not going to rotate up. But watch, look at Leona, already running up.
And right now, the AD carries have teleport. Cody Sun's is available. There's a small cooldown on Stixxay, so it should be a Clutch gaming objective. CLG moving into contest though.
Could be a big fight in the river, although Ruin is far over the wall since he got shoved in.
Flash, E's gonna find this stun. Ult comes on top as well. Suppression in there as well. Looking for the flash, the burn down, and PoE's gonna drop down. A 1-for-0 to Clutch. Herald reset for the kill was earned.
PoE doesn't even get his ult off. No flank to be had, and river control goes to Clutch.
We cited Skarner's ultimate, so good against these champions. And Lira doesn't hesitate, flashes on in on the Skarner. CLG still around.
But they've already TP'd in their bottom laners. This is like 5v3. Why are you here? As Clutch Gaming comes across, they find the first stun. A tanky Vulcan still survives. The first kill comes through. Stixxay TP's in to another 3v5 that gets nothing done.
Clutch is dominating this early game, even though CLG tried to stop the Clutch classic Rift Herald play. Clutch was already ahead, right? They have the goal leads, they have the numbers advantage in every single one of those plays, and they're the ones who are pulling the trigger.
The important part here is not noticing the pattern. Oh, they always go to Rift Herald around 10 minutes.
Doing something about it.
Exactly. The important part is preparing for it and getting your advantage so that you can actually answer the play. But it feels like CLG a little bit too stubborn in trying to counter Clutch's playbook here. It cost them 2 kills, though they do technically stop the Rift Herald. Let's see, it has been both bottom lanes swapping up to the top side.
Sun's still juking away from the Biofrost knockups, able to do that without having to burn any summoner spells, just pressing
Go
E.
in here, they have level advantage.
Would like to walk in, almost has ulti, nice! Stixxay waits long enough on his Arcane Shift to not get tagged there, but a step by Vulcan to preempt that one. Huni and Lira, they're gonna go for this Infernal Drake, and despite being on a ward, this looks to be uncontested.
There are 2 things here. One is that, of course, Huni has his own lead in his 1 versus 1, versus Ruin, but also Damonte, as we've mentioned, continually pushing up this mid wave. So we had both solo laners push up their waves and then roam into the dragon, and because the bottom lane swapped over, that was another objective here to Clutch Gaming, retaining control.
Just look at the game state once again. You still see this greater than 2,000 gold lead. Both Drakes there as well, and all their champions seem to be in very good spots. A 3-kill Renekton is going to be very close to Spear of Shojin. Nearly has the combined gold right now. And as their bot laner comes back in, the Manamune is stacking up, and half the Rage Blade's done for Cody Sun.
Yeah, and it's just getting more and more difficult for CLG to find success in this game. As we mentioned during Champ Select, the targets for PoE are few and far between. He basically needs to get onto Cody Sun in order to assassinate him because everyone else is either too bruisey or can eat themselves out of the CC like Huni. So PoE can't find roams, and on that point, Wiggily is trying to gank a bunch of losing lanes, which is already a losing proposition against a level 6 Skarner. So huge shout out to Clutch for how they have controlled the first 13.5 minutes of this game.
And their step has been finally completed here to pick up the Rift Herald.
They might use this right away so they can get the plates.
Yep, smart choice right there. You can see he's hiding towards the back, make sure there's no Gragas CC, not gonna get it canceled. Mid-turn's gonna take a lot of damage, also push them back. PoE's gonna run away. Here comes the charge.
And look at the mini-map. They're just so more positioned than the rest of Clutch Gaming.
I'm trying, Jatt. I'm sorry. You're checking the NA mini-map, Jatt. We don't have that here. As the turret gets very, very low, it is going to be stopped down without that 5th plate falling, but it is still 3 more plates claimed, and it's still more going to Clutch Gaming's pockets.
Honestly, not a lot of answers from CLG. You can see, though, that both the side lanes were at least pushed in. Stixxay as well as Ruin trying to get something done while the mid lane was under siege there and got absolutely devastated. It doesn't reward them too much, but a little bit of tower damage is something.
And look at Huni's instincts right there, backing off of Ruin at the turret with no wards whatsoever. Let's see if this ends up being a caster curse as he steps back up with Wiggily still there, but he has been playing so smart, especially in these playoffs, and applying pressure when necessary, but also staying safe when he has to.
Oh, this could be a really good fight here for Clutch Gaming. Going to find a little bit of a damage output as the ults are coming around a little bit, but not getting any kills picked off. It's instead just the fight for the blue buff. That goes with the smite back over to Lira, and that dive will turn into nothing, and nor will any kills show up.
All right, when we went over in Champion Select, the initiation tools that both teams have being so reliable, this really does help Clutch Gaming in this game 1 of the series as far as finishing it out, right? They have a very clear possibility of roaming out with the Leona plus Skarner combination. You can already see Vulcan and Lira walking together. Wherever this combination goes, CLG have to give room.
Okay, Ruin, this time the ult is available, pulls him right back forward, running off a barrel of 12. They got now Vulcan for the stun. Up onto the top comes Kaisa. Cody Sun claims the kill.
And Vulcan did my favorite thing that Leonas can do there with Moby Boots and just walk up to them to press Q. Don't stop and do this E animation while Ruin has flash. Since he had the mobility, he walked up to him, pressed Q, that allowed Cody to ult, and a very easy kill secure for the team.
Yeah, it's extremely reliable CC here from Skarner and Leona. Very devastating duo to roam around the map, and the wards have been laid for Clutch Gaming. They get the kill, they get the tower damage afterwards, and I don't think we need to watch it again, but Lira walks in, able to get that Skarner ultimate, pull him against the wall, nowhere for Ruin to run.
Comfort and reliability. You put Vulcan on Leona, which has the easier execution when he can walk up with Q, Lira on Skarner, and you put Huni on one of the big 3 Huni champions. So knowing that the first game on a big stage like this can often be a little bit jarring, Clutch is doing everything just right.
It really does feel like that statement game, Clutch opening up with, you know, just kind of laying down some fairly standard picks for themselves and telling CLG to outplay them.
He's got a real flash. I want to burn that one there. Hex Flash, I think he would have done it, but maybe he still goes for it. Has ulti available.
This should be pretty ambitious.
Well, Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds, so I don't think any big risks need to be taken by Clutch Gaming. They have a stranglehold on this game already. All they have to do is continue to control this vision behind the dragon. It's an Infernal Drake at that, so it will only further empower the snowball of this game.
And unless Wiggily can find a clean initiation, I don't know if CLG should actually contest this. Think about the last fight we saw on the river where PoE was completely bursted. That's what they're going for. Again, quick burst.
Wall locked down into Gragas. AP Gragas is gone already. Xyle comes out, not a whole lot being done. Damonte, so taking the front lines, is able to kite it away, but Ruin wants a little bit more. He's going to be found out. They pull him right back in. More time being bought by Vulcan. A 2-for-0 to Clutch. And once again, CLG forced to run away.
And that's just what we're talking about. CLG is contesting plays they have no business contesting. They don't have river vision, and they clump up in that small little choke point. They're not finding good uses for their initiation or their Qiyana ultimates, and Clutch just keeps winning fight after fight.
And we should give the alternatives. The other alternative there is to try and trade for an objective on the other side of the map. You cannot fight straight up 5-on-5 head-to-head because you're so far behind.
Yeah.
But the best that you can do is say, okay, we have to sacrifice that. We will overload the other side of the map and try and at least get this top tower back, maybe get some gold in the meantime. However, if you go fight head-to-head versus the advantaged opponent, you just continue to fall further and further behind.
Oh, nice
Slow. Runs in, almost finds the shot as Vulcan, but PoE able to walk away.
And I think this is the other side of the Qiyana coin, where PoE now has no lane where he can go safely, and we're going to see this fight one more time. Wiggily was hoping to find a fight, but they just didn't have the vision. As Wiggily places the controller, he gets bursted out, and then yes, Biofrost does try a re-engage, but since they're not onto Cody Sun, the one really killable person in that fight, they use all their damage into a fairly tanky person and don't get the kill. Now they're going for 2v1 on Damonte.
Here we go. CLG looking for the second kill of the game. Damonte double dashes back outwards, but he's going to get flashed onto. Has to get the Q back up. Doesn't find the knockback. Finds the kill. 1v2. Does get traded back, but that's still big for Damonte.
He turns and fights it out, trades one back there. Wiggily throwing the ultimate, thinking he was going to keep running away, but Damonte goes down fighting and gets a kill for himself. Meanwhile, Huni finishes that top secondary turret, and the rest of the team looks for a dive on Stixxay.
Nearly in range for that
Gotta go
one.
fast.
But he's still running forward towards Biofrost. Predator's still on.
So fast.
Not going to find that.
Not fast enough. He got about the first 1/8 of a second of the R animation onto Stixxay, but then he shifted away. You heard the audio start playing.
The shift had already started, so it completed before the cast of the Impale was done, but they're going right back in the mid lane. They've got lane pressure right now. Stixxay's wave clear, not so good. He had to knock out the Biofrost. The flash over. Qiyana finds his stun, but Vulcan's very tanky. That could be death for him, but first, it is going to be the kill of the Qiyana. Turret's going to fall down as well. A 1-for-1 with the turret almost going down is still nearly a victory for Clutch Gaming here.
And even though Ruin does roam over, the control ward Clutch Gaming had in the river sees him, they back off in time. Good communication there. It's so hard for CLG to catch them off guard at this point because the map is lit up. Here's another look at Damonte going for the fight.
The great escape.
Just at the end.
Watch the Gragas cask. Doesn't quite get him.
So, yeah, he thought he was going to keep running away, but
Turning and fighting was the only option there.
Yeah, high pressure moment. Trying to kill him out of the turret. Sadly misses that skill shot there. I mean, this is the first time Wigglily's been on a stage this big. This is his first playoffs run ever here in the LCS. And look, he was one of the biggest performers of CLG.
Yeah, especially
0-4 start.
as part of their resurgence. But Phreak, the quarterfinals were very strong for Wiggily. The semifinals were definitely not. He was up against Skarner, and people were willing to say, okay, he's against Skarner, what do you expect? But now, going up against Clutch Gaming, it's a time he really needs to perform. They're going to have nothing but high-pressure moments from here on out until the end of the season, really. So not a good start to game one. We'll need to pick it up as the series progresses.
yeah, this is a best-of-5 series. CLG cannot get deflated after one game. They're still going for some plays. Vulcan might be the next.
Oh, nice sidestep there for Vulcan. Finds his stun, walking away, but they might still find the re-engage regardless. Vulcan's got no way out, and CLG find another kill.
Clutch very disorganized there, very slow in setting up the side lane pressure while Vulcan and Lira were very vulnerable in mid lane, and it was good for CLG to recognize that and just kind of all in with 5 people, knowing there was nothing to be lost on the sides.
Definitely cannot back off at this point. Good to see CLG still looking for opportunities as well to fight back into this game.
I want to point out that with a 6,000 gold deficit, it certainly looks bad for CLG, but keep in mind, they came back from a 10,000 gold deficit just last weekend, so you never want to completely count them out.
The biggest comeback that we have had in the LCS, by the way.
Yeah, watching this one more time, Biofrost and Wiggily just saw the opportunity. They have so much movement with the Gragas and the Predator. Unlucky that Wiggily missed that one, but the fact that they were still able to chase down the kill does give them the pressure back. And Phreak, to your point, not only did CLG have that 10,000 gold comeback against C9, you also have to remember game 1 against Optic, where Optic had 4 Barons, 5 Drakes, and still lost. So yes, this has been a bad first 22 minutes by CLG against Clutch. If this was another Optic situation and CLG could turn it around, there is still so much left to be played.
I just want to touch on something. To be clear, that was an ironic unlucky, right? Because Wiggily continued overshooting these ultimates.
There's just nothing he could do.
They definitely need to keep track of the flashes.
Well, not just much Ruin can do as he gets found by a Renekton. The stun turns him next part of it.
And Huni, though.
But they do trade him to Huni, so 1-for-1. Top laners keep getting traded, and CLG continually find a 1-for-1 over and over and over again. Cashing in and shut down gold when it's there and keeping the game a bit tight. Now a knock up towards Vulcan, looking for round 2 of this fight, as they're going to find a lot of CC. Vulcan very tanky, and Wiggily is not. So a 2-for-1 now this time going to Clutch Gaming. Maybe a re-engage towards PoE to flash forward for the empowered stun. There is no way out. 3 kills for Clutch, and they're chasing for more. Damonte cannot quite find that stun, but it's still a team fight victory.
There's Baron and Infernal Drake up. Looks like Clutch opting for the Baron half of the map. They still have the DPS from Cody Sun. They can definitely do it.
And it's because Huni can still teleport in, but so can Ruin. If CLG wants to try and contest this one in a 3v5, it will be tough. No Aatrox ultimate, just Ezreal and Rakan.
It's going to be up how much damage they have, and Vulcan is on the flank. How does CLG get in? A flash forward. They get the knockup, but is enough damage with Baron on their side. Damonte is incredibly low. He's getting burned down. Huni finds the first in triumph. Keeps Clutch Gaming alive. Baron, though, is going to be stopped.
The continuation of this play is going to be very interesting because the Infernal Drake is still on the board and all of Clutch are caught in a recall. So while they thought it was a good Baron to get with 5 people, if all they get is a kill for the Infernal Drake, it may not be worth it.
All right, let's take another look because this is the play that set everything up. Wiggily flashing on Huni. Good ultimate for Wiggily this time around to complete on that pick. Now, this is Clutch Gaming, knowing they have the teleport. They also have Skarner who can just lock in a member, so they get the kill onto Wiggily, and Damonte's teleport finishes, meaning they can finish it up here onto PowerOfEvil, and then take the choice between the more risky Baron or the guaranteed Infernal Drake. Maybe they did not keep track of the teleport from Ruin's side, but during that replay, the Infernal Drake went over to CLG.
Yeah, so what happened is CLG rotated Stixxay over to take Infernal, which actually slowed him down, meaning they lost the tempo. Clutch is back on Baron, and we're at it again.
All right, round 2 of this team fight as the ult comes across, a lot of CC, but Wiggily had the stopwatch. Stays alive for a few more seconds. The re-engage comes in now for Ruin as well. Plenty of damage to Damonte, and Clutch Gaming are running out of health. A 1-for-0, the stun gets found! Huni drops now as well, a 2-for-1. Here's 2-for-0, PoE stays alive, and now Lira slowed down. The re-engage, and Cody Sun dives right back in, finds a kill. Lira's gonna drop though, and CLG win the team fight.
Clutch continually playing with fire here, and CLG burn them at Baron. They stop it. Now they've turned on it for their own reward.
All right, let's see if Clutch tries to stop it. Cody is alive. Damonte has no ult. This would be nigh impossible to deny. CLG might get this Baron.
He's gonna try, reveal over the wall, 3,000 health onto that one. Cody Sun, no ult, no way to jump the pit. He can put in a W, that's gonna get blocked. Wiggily stays alive, Damonte cannot get in there either. CLG not only win the fight, they take the Baron, they close the gap.
We just mentioned it 5 minutes ago. CLG can play from behind, but Clutch take so much damage from the Baron, and they miss both engaged attempts onto Wiggily, which leaves them without tools in the river. It allows CLG to chase after them. They do get finally a Qiyana ult stun off onto Huni's Gangplank, and they clean house here. The ult in from Cody at the end was nice, but because he didn't continue on and risk dying, it does give away the Baron.
It was actually so sick by Cody, though. He lands the W onto the enemy support, uses the radius to jump over the wall to be in range of PowerOfEvil. That was actually super clever, but it's 1 kill picked up in a sea of CLG outplaying that fight, putting now within 4,000 gold. There's still a comeback to be had, but they are clawing their way back in.
And even though CLG have gotten this Baron, they have to be wary of Clutch Gaming getting a flank on them. The problem with the last fight for Clutch is they had a distinct engage there. It was fumbled by the combination of Vulcan and Damonte. Lira didn't use the Skarner ultimate until they were retreating halfway back up the river, and that's how CLG takes a big victory in that team fight. Now that they can push up here, grouped as well, they will get a lot of gold back in their favor.
And Stixxay is so powerful right now. The poke onto turrets with this Ezreal has the same gold as Cody Sun, now sitting at 5-0. So while the initiation hasn't been great for CLG, if Clutch can't get that successful flank, Stixxay is now powered up enough to punish.
Okay. Deficit now only 4,000, about half of what it was at its peak. And still a minute, 40 seconds of Baron buff left as Clutch Gaming look to regain some of the map. Seeing some of the recalls come through.
No.
1 health! Oh, it burned! Yeah, pretty sure that went to someone on... There we go, it's a CLG one. I just got the 1 damage, but it happened all the same. As we wait for the next one to happen as Clutch move forward and knock down the mid lane wave, but still they're gonna be in the back foot. I think they're gonna have to wait out this Baron buff. It'll time out just about the time Cloud Drake respawns. We'll see when that one comes through.
And that team fight and ensuing Baron have done so much to change the state of the game. Not only has it allowed CLG a much stronger team fight themselves with all the extra gold, but it has righted the state of the map. Before, it was so hard for CLG to pull off a play because they had no vision to work with, but you see that defensive line of control wards, they've cleared out a lot of the deeper vision that Clutch had, and it allows CLG a lot more breathing room.
And pay attention to the side lanes as well. For most of the game, it's been Clutch pushing it up to well beyond the halfway point. But right now, these side lanes are pushing in the favor of CLG. So when PowerOfEvil is able to safely get those side lanes pushing, not only does it give them sidewave pressure and turret killing, but mostly it enables him the windows to go through and flank.
Last 20 seconds of the Baron buff. You can see 2,600 gold's been earned off of that one. 1,500 from the Baron itself, another 1,100 from all the other stuff they've been doing, knocking down turrets, clawing this game closer and closer. And as that time's out, might see them stand off now for the Cloud Drake. With new item spikes coming in and a 5-kill Ezreal to be the primary carry. See if they can do it.
They also have a lot of value. Now that Qiyana's level 16, we saw how big the stun can come in around these objectives. And with another dragon spawning, this might be an opportunity. There are a lot of these AoE things to look after.
This is the spot where Clutch has been able to find fights, though. That river control has been so critical, having Skarner on the Spire, and this time I think CLG smartly does not contest.
Simply the second Cloud Drake gonna be handed over. An attempt, a very low-cost attempt to steal by Stixxay. Doesn't get it, but grabs its own red buff. No problem for him.
I think there would have been an argument for Clutch Gaming to delay that Dragon take by about 15 seconds, because that would have meant that the next Drake spawning would have been the Elder Dragon, but because they took it before 30 minutes, it's going to be yet another Drake, and it's going to be a Cloud for the 6th Drake spawn of the game.
Well, it'll at least empower the Elder Dragon spawn when it comes in, but that is going to be a 40-minute timer on that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the game-ending Elder push will be very late here, to your point, Jatt. See if it comes to it anyway in this game. As we wait and see the item pushes come through, a lot of lethality has been bought here by PowerOfEvil. 2 major items there.
And I mean, the offensive items are going to definitely go a long ways for CLG trying to win these team fights, but look at this. 3 QSSs picked up, as well as a Zhonya's and a stopwatch. Every member has a very big team fight impacting active ability here in inventory for Counter Logic Gaming now. Those things have to be tracked by Clutch for their next initiation, because so much of it relies on the Leona and Skarner combination to get themselves a number advantage.
4 major items done on Cody Sun now here as well. See if he can put out enough damage. He has been the, I would say, the primary late game carry for Clutch overall, continuing to give him big hyper scaling rather late game marksman. Has been, I think, his calling card for most of this split. I think has been a huge upgrade over his replacement from earlier in the year. And Cody Sun, deathless on a late game Kaisa, can do a lot of work here.
Yeah, and even just as Clutch is thinking about trying to get some type of flank in the mid lane. Gonna have to watch to see if Lira or Vulcan can go for anything. As far as Cody Sun is concerned, Phreak, he actually is the all-time leader in damage per minute for LCS players in playoffs. And there's the fight!
Found and engage, a lot of CC. Biofrost QS is the way they'll walk up. They find the stun. They might lock down Wiggily. Jump to the wall, stays barely alive, but the re-engage comes in and Ruin goes down. Damonte walks in forward, Stixxay at half HP. The flash in for him. The exhaust to build space. They shut him down anyway. Qiyana can't build the space. Biofrost is so low, but just stays alive. 3 still up for CLG, but the mid lane push and continue.
Clutch is gonna want to push here. The very close escapes might hold CLG in this game, but they may look to end here. If not, they pull for Baron.
4 versus 3 on the map as the resets come through, and Clutch Gaming looking forward. They're going for at least one Nexus turret. 4v3 push. The flash on PoE. QSS away. Damonte has tower aggro. The GA will almost certainly fall as Wiggily clears away some minions. No turrets drop.
That's too much damage taken from the towers. They have to retreat right now. CLG harrying them on the way out. There's a teleport available for Ruin. And look at these deep wards. There's a possibility CLG try and chase them down long enough for a deep teleport.
When he respawns in
there it is
right now as the flanks come through, he can TP in now as well. Gonna be a brief 5v4 as the squad comes around. There's the extra TP coming in for CLG. Cody Sun kites backwards, gets away from Ruin. Not gonna be found, but the 1 kill comes through on a Vulcan already. PoE staying alive. The barrel comes in. Huni gets a kill. Ruin could be next. Tries to kill Cody. Can't quite do it. Instead, it's Wiggily who falls. 3 kills for Clutch at the cost of only their support. And back down mid lane they go.
Cody Sun dodging pretty much everything from Ruin on the backside of that fight. So CLG takes their big swing with the TP flank, and it looks like Clutch will finally get their Baron.
Yeah, they're not going to try and go for the Nexus back-to-back plays here. They will take the Baron instead. Safer route for Clutch, and they have it back in their hands.
All right, 3-shot barrage gonna be a bit late, but at least he tried, and it is going to be the Baron now on Clutch Gaming's side with a 7,000 gold lead, making them feel pretty secure here.
CLG definitely making Clutch work for it. This looks like it was going to be a stomp earlier on in the game, but let's watch that flank again from Ruin. Doesn't land any of the Qs onto Cody, but does jump in to help with the execution of Vulcan. And as this fight continues, just watch Huni as well, kind of in the middle of everything, but able to get multiple barrel detonations off and pick up the double kill.
Yeah, Huni goes full offensive build with the Gangplank, Infinity Edge empowered crit coming through there.
And then still sits in the middle of the team.
You can see why he does it though. Gets the double kill for the team. Now they're pushing with Baron on the bottom half of the map. Everybody grouped up as 5 because they know super minions will do the work on the mid lane, and they don't want to give CLG an opening to take advantage of a split team.
All right, and we're also going to have to see if Clutch can get a clean initiation. All those QSSs, half of them have turned into Mercurial Scimitars. If Clutch has a dive go awry, it would be another way for CLG to extend this game.
Not going to be up just yet. A GP ult to push them backwards. Those Stixxay down temporarily without the escape tools. The turret's going to take some damage. They will knock that one down. Inhibitor cracked open. That should be the sign for CLG to walk backwards and give this one away. Fighting out the turret going to be a little bit hard.
I think for CLG to be able to win one of these team fights, they have to have Wiggily punish Huni's positioning. Gragas is so good at punishing melee carries there. Huni has to watch out, not get too far up, and just use the barrel chains from safety.
And Stixxay can't get hit by Kaisa W's. That was 2 of them, took him to 1/3 health. The bits of poke that Clutch have been so effective. Huni has landed a few barrel chains coming up to these turrets, and Cody has landed W's. If enough of those land, CLG can't even defend. And in inhibitor number 3, they got to fight.
Oh, a lot of damage comes across. Cody's on a pretty low HP, but the engage comes across. They might knock down Huni. The big stun comes in. And it's a 1-for-0. Now get it back as the support dies now as well. And Damonte in the front line holding up, and Cody Sun still able to free fire as Wiggly's going to be next to get picked off, and that's a triple kill already. This is a fight that Clutch Gaming are going to win, and Stixxay, he's jumped on quadra kill in the 3rd place match. Cody Sun takes the work into his own hands. An 8-0 game for the Kaisa, and Clutch Gaming will strike first here in Detroit, taking down CLG in game 1.
Good performance by Clutch Gaming in what we said was needing to be a statement game. It started out real well, got a little dicey in the middle, but then ended cleanly for Clutch, and they definitely padded some stats down the stretch there. The 8-0-10 for Cody Sun is gonna look pretty good.
And look at the confidence that will do for you.
Yeah.
This team has been brimming with it all playoffs long. Damonte getting into the crowd. And this, honestly, goal number 1 of getting the victory, opening up the series with the W complete, but the secondary goal of also defeating Qiyana in the hands of CLG, meaning it's a more potent tool for Clutch, for all of Champ Select for the rest of this series, has also been completed.
I think especially the swagger of Damonte coming off with the Renekton pick, saying like, it's not the pick, it's the player, in terms of that matchup going, because PoE was really a non-factor in that game. He actually got first blood on the Qiyana, couldn't make it to side lanes. I do think a lot of Clutch Gaming's draft was revolving around not letting Qiyana get going, from the flex picks to really the entire composition coming through and the rest of it. And Cody Sun also never made himself available. He was always way in the back until the fight was about to turn, knew exactly when to dash in.
Yeah, Clutch Gaming got to play Clutch Gaming style, even with their picks taken away. Damonte playing his first time Renekton, 14th champion of the split. Like, the pool keeps growing, it keeps getting wider and wider every single time. And they made it work. You can ban the Rumble, you can take the Qiyana. We'll ban the Zai, don't worry about it. We still got a carry that we can grab Cody Sun, no problem. And there's a lot of threats that are making their own sort of skills work.
Yeah, I think that for CLG looking in game number 2, they need to clean up a little bit of their team play, especially early on, as well as some of the shot calling when they find themselves in a disadvantageous situation they can't continue to force.
Yeah, and I really think Ruin has to play better. Having the Aatrox there and going 1-8-3, he needs to be better.
Not a good start, but we'll see what else they can do. For more on that Clutch Gaming win, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Phreak. We have welcomed Prowley to the desk to help us break down that first game of our third place match. Clutch Gaming. They put up a statement game there, faltering once, yes, in the mid game, but overall, start to finish, that felt pretty dominant.
No, yeah, that felt like pretty normal Clutch even from last week. It was pretty much a normal thing where they're going to go do Herald, they're going to fight at Herald, get that advantage, and then pick around the map.
And you know, CLG was busy practicing the Qiyana, picking it up, but Clutch Gaming was already one step ahead, figuring out what they need to play against it. And I need to remind you guys that when CLG beat Cloud9 with that Qiyana pick, it wasn't a dominating victory. It was Cloud9 pretty much throwing the game at the very end, and then they picked up that win. So this champion, to me, still does not seem like a pick that CLG is comfortable with, and solely taken to put Clutch Gaming out of their comfort zone, which fell right into their
trap. But I have a way bigger problem with the bot lane pick. I hate Ezreal and Rakan paired together when this is supposed to be your strongest point in the map for CLG, your all-pro second team bot lane, and that's what they're taking into the other team getting last pick support, counter pick with Leona. I had a much bigger problem with that, I think, than the Qiyana takeaway first. As well as just, Clutch had also the intelligent early Renekton pick to kind of bait the Aatrox, then they still have the GP, which doesn't get banned out in the second phase because you're already showing your top laner.
How'd you feel that Bard hover? Did you like that more?
I wanted Bard.
That was fake. That was totally fake. Come on.
Well, yeah, clearly they jump for the Rakan. It does not pay dividends. But I do want to take a look at this game, the very early action happening here. Both of these teams on the big stage, not shying away from the fight. Level 2, level 3, 3 minutes into the game, it will go in favor of Clutch Gaming.
And this is the same thing that we saw in Game 2 from Clutch Gaming when they were bouncing back against Team Liquid. Their ability to collapse on their mid laner faster than the other team shows here once again, and it is Damonte being chased down. First of all, chasing these opportunities from the mid jungle is usually pretty risky, but Clutch Gaming already has the TP in, right? Aatrox, where is he? He's now getting in.
Yeah, and this is the problem with it, is you could have taken the 1-for-1 trade, understood that they blew a TP and taken advantage in the top side, but CLG react later, blow extra teleports from the top lane to get in there, and then that makes the second part of the play so much worse, where Rune kind of just contests Lira on top of a Spire, and just kind of tries to walk through him, turns back around and fights this. He's going to die, and while this is happening in the top lane, his wave is pushing away from him, and he has no teleport. So this death screws his entire laning phase over.
Yeah, definitely a mistake there out of Rune, the top laner. We heard Jatt saying he has to play better in the next game if CLG wants a chance in this series.
Top jungle for CLG ended up 1-15.
Yeah.
You really cannot play like this if you're trying to win against anybody.
A rough start. We'll come back to Wiggily because I have some thoughts about that and what we talked about with nerves and the poor performance against Cloud9 in the semis. But now I want to jump over to you, probably, because you said it. Clutch, the identity of Clutch, 10-minute Rift Herald, they will be there, and you need to be prepared for that. They did it in this game, and CLG, they weren't set up.
So CLG was around Herald when they were doing the swap, so I like that they had some kind of inkling that they're going to do it because we've seen it so many times. One big disaster, I think, coming from CLG is even Stixxay's interview, he's talking about, like, oh, we're going to win bot. And then they pick Ezreal Rakan. So the way Team Liquid actually was able to defeat it one time is picking this really strong bot lane and then not letting them do the Herald.
Do you think it was the Caitlyn ban then that Clutch Gaming dropped before the Ezreal was picked as kind of the CLG pick to dominate the bottom lane?
Yeah, I think Caitlyn was the pick that they were going to pick, but then they kind of got screwed out once they had to find a new one.
And this is what I like about Clutch Gaming's playstyle is it is, you know, telegraphed and predictable. Everyone knows 10, 11 minutes they're going topside to take the Rift Herald. You still have to stop them. And so even though you know it's coming, you have to execute well because they're so practiced at that play. They've probably done it for 2 months in scrims now.
Right.
And you have to go up there and deal with it. And I think when they have the onus of the Leona to pick the fight, they have better turn. If you're sloppy in how you're approaching the Rift Herald, they will kill you. And I think while it is, you know, predictable and eventually exploitable if a team adapts to it like Team Liquid might have, CLG is not there yet.
They didn't even get the Rift Herald off that play, but they will take that one kill, that one small advantage, and they'll rinse, repeat that as many times as they can to build that lead.
I mean, they're just comfortable going there and then doing what they want to do. Because, yeah, that time they got there and they didn't just start the Herald instantly. They knew you're going to come or we're going to get Herald for free. So they kept putting themselves in that situation, and they're more comfortable in CLG doing that.
That said, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, CLG needs to stick down to what they were winning with, like strong team fights, strong bot lane, and be able to win the game that way.
Now, Clutch did have that one small misstep where they gave away a Baron after getting caught up around it, but able to claw their way back in. I think that's the thing we're looking at. We talked about this being a momentum-based series, and to have had that early lead and then to be able to close it out like this with a mid lane fight, that's going to do dividends.
And this is something I've noticed CLG have a problem with. They really don't do a good job tracking timers. Yes, they get the TP flank, but Huni was rezzing on the same timer as they were, and Damonte had TP, so once he finishes his back, he comes right back into the fight. This is essentially a 5v5. If CLG thought about it properly, you're just picking a 5v5 in the middle of the map down 7k gold. There's no advantage that you're taking other than Damonte has an 8-second window that he has to back before he comes back in. And that's such a narrow window to be like, we're going to exploit this, and I think that happened in the Clutch or the C9 series as well, where they tried to push after losing in the top lane, and they have to be way more conscious of other teams' teleports.
That fight started off of Clutch Gaming trying to end the game with a very aggressive flash play. Then as they retreat, CLG, instead of thinking, how do we set up our own play, they're just following up on Clutch's mistake, thinking that they could capitalize. And it looks to me that CLG is playing so reactive to what Clutch Gaming is doing. Clutch is clearly firing on all 5 members right now, and CLG needs to bring it together.
Even though Clutch got the victory here, they are opting to hop over to blue side for the second game of the series. Mark, you had said CLG with side selection in 1, 3, and 5 would possibly have the advantage here because of draft. Well, they dropped this first one. Clutch gets to go over to that coveted blue side. What would be the response here from CLG from red?
I think you can look at the Akali and Aurelia and say, well, they haven't beat anyone in playoffs with those. The GP got through. It was one of the 3 champs they found wins in the playoffs on, and they got it again. I'm surprised that happened.
All right, so we'll look for those answers in Champion Select Probably. Thank you so much for joining us here to break down that first game. As we go to break, you are getting an early look at the new Alienware Aurora R9 desktop. Alienware will